Good morning, beloveds. It's hazy out there, and apparently that's from the fires in Mexico and Central America, so if you have breathing issues, be aware of that. Well, I guess that's if you live in the southern part of the United States. Because I looked out the window and was like, is it foggy? It's too hot to be foggy. Apparently it's smoke. So, yeah, and I got back on my bike for the first time in I don't know how long. Once it hits, basically, if I walk out of my house at, 7 o'clock in the morning and it's 80 degrees, bike. So we got back on the bike yesterday. And then when we got back on the bike this morning, there were certain parts of my body, like the part that I sit on, that was like, I don't know about this. So I was like, oh, okay. But we are going to finish up chapter 11 today. We are on mental and spiritual mind treatment. Like I said, chapter 11. And we are starting on page 170 with the section different methods of treatment. It was kind of long, and that's why I didn't want to do it yesterday. Because it wouldn't have left much of anything for today. So, different methods of treatment. Although several methods of treatment are used, there are but two distinct methods. One is called the argumentative, and the other is realization. The argumentative method is just what the word implies. Though the argument is never with another person. It is a process of mental reasoning in which the practitioner argues to themselves about their patient. They are presenting a logical argument to universal mind or principle. And if it carries with it complete evidence in the favor of the patient should be healed. The realization method is one whereby the practitioner realizes within themselves, without the necessity of step-by-step building up to a conclusion, the perfect state of their patient. It is a purely spiritual and meditative process of contemplating the perfect person. And if the practitioner arrives at a perfect embodiment of the idea, without confusion or doubt, it will at once produce a healing. Treatment is for the purpose of inducing an inner realization of perfection in the mentality of the practitioner, which inner realization, acting through mind, operates through the patient. Emphasis earnest. That one was in italics, so I'm like, it's a summary, right? Okay, another illustration. Let us suppose that Mary is sick and John is the practitioner. She comes to him saying, I am sick. He understands the power of the mind. She does not understand it. He does not try and hold a thought over her or for her, nor suggest one to her. He speaks her name and makes his declaration about this name. He contradicts what appears to be wrong and declares the truth about her. What happens? His word, operating through the universal mind, sets a law in motion on the subjective side of life, which objectifies through her body as a healing. Mary thinks a miracle has been performed. No miracle has been enacted. John used a law, which many people may use if they will, or which all people may use if they will. Sorry, missed the all. If Mary had been perfectly well and her need had been for a position, the treatment would have been of like nature. John would have declared into mind what should be done for Mary. There is only one law. Mary could set it in operation for herself if she understood its nature. Sooner or later, she must come to understand and make conscious use of this law. Between John and Mary, there is one universal medium, which is also in John and in Mary. It is not only between them, but in them and around them. As John, right where he is, knows the truth, since there is only one, he is at the same time knowing the truth right where Mary is. Because his work is operative through a field which is not divided, but is a complete unit or whole. As he knows within himself, he is knowing within the same mind which operates through the person whom he mentions in his treatment. No matter where that person may be, there is no absent treatment as opposed to a present treatment. When you know in one place, you know everywhere. When you give a treatment, you never send out a thought or hold a thought or make a suggestion. A treatment is a conscious movement of thought, and the work begins and ends in the thought of the one giving the treatment. The practitioner must do the work within themselves. Emphasis earnest. They must know the truth within themselves, and as they do this, the law unfolds. A thing which is known by any part of the universal mind is known by every part of it, for it is an undivided whole. If one were treating Henry Black, who is in another city, they would say, I am treating Henry Black of such and such a place. Then they would forget all about Henry Black as a personality and give the treatment. It is not necessary to specify the trouble. Occasionally, there might be reason to mention a thing in denying its existence, but this is not the best method. Of course, there are certain thoughts back of certain things, and a knowledge of the disease might better enable some practitioners to know what thought to deny. Another illustration of the difference between the argumentative method of treatment and the realization method will be found in the following. Mary Jones comes to John Smith and says, I have tuberculosis. In answer to this, he states, the word I now speak is for Mary Jones. She is perfect and whole. She is a perfect and whole manifestation of pure spirit, and pure spirit cannot be diseased. Consequently, she is not diseased. This is an argument in the mind of John Smith, trying to bring out the evidence in favor of Mary Jones. Perfection. It is an argument which produces certain conclusions in his mind, and as a result, it sees a certain law in motion for Mary Jones. As John does this day after day, he gradually becomes convinced of her spiritual perfection. This is the argumentative method of treating. All argumentative statements merely conduct the mind of the practitioner to a place where they believe what they are saying. Again, emphasis earnest. In using the method of realization, John Smith would say, the word that I now speak is for Mary Jones. Then he would begin to realize the perfect presence, the only perfect presence. God is all there is. There is nothing else. God is in Mary Jones. She is now a perfect being. She is now a spiritual being. It makes no difference, however, which method one uses, as each produces the same results. One method is a logical argument in the mind of the practitioner by which they convince themselves of the truth of being. The other is an instant cutting through of all appearances to the reality back of all things. Undoubtedly, when we can pursue only the way of pure realization, we will have attained the ideal method. But since we do not at all times realize people's perfection, we go through this process called treating to find it out. Do not be afraid of this scientific approach. Do not be afraid to set down on one side all of the negative appearances, admitting them as a condition, and on the other side, bringing up all the arguments one at a time, which offset these apparent conditions, and finally realization will come. The argumentative method of treatment is a series of affirmations and denials for the purpose of building up in the mind of the practitioner a state of realization and acceptance. The power is in the realization, but there is also power in the argument. The one giving the treatment believes that there is a power and a presence that responds to their thought. No matter what all of the world believes, no matter what anyone says, they must believe that this power does respond to their word. As Jesus said, "Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away." This is conviction. And if a practitioner does not have such conviction, they must acquire it. After such experience, they will learn how to best build up a faith in the power of spirit. We are to approach this presence simply, directly, and easily, for it is within us. We can never get outside of ourselves. We shall always be interior in our comprehension. We are here, and it is also here. And I might also add, the Spirit is willing, which he hasn't said yet, but I'm sure he will. But the Spirit is willing to do what we ask it to do. And that's a big thing to remember. You know, it's like we can convince ourselves of all of this stuff, but if we don't think the Spirit is willing, then what are we doing? The Spirit is willing. All right, back to the reading. In giving spiritual treatments, we find that the more completely the mind turns away from lack, the more completely the thought stops trying to figure out how the demonstration can be made, the more completely it refrains from willpower. And, strange as it may seem, the less it tries to concentrate, the more power it has. Emphasis earnest. Treatment has nothing to do with any effort which attempts to concentrate the energy of God. The energy of God is already concentrated everywhere. The gardener does not will potatoes and cabbage into being, but he has a willingness to comply with the law of nature and provides the conditions which make it possible for this law to produce them. And that's one of the reasons why we try not to get caught up in the how. We state the what, but we don't get caught up in the how. For two reasons, exactly what you say. The how is not our responsibility. The how is Spirit's responsibility. And if we start to get into the how, we interfere with how Spirit can do it, and we limit the options that Spirit has. So stay away from the how as much as possible. All right. We've got two little sections left, and then we're done. Second to the last section. When and what is a demonstration? In the language of metaphysics, a demonstration is made when the thing is accomplished, which the one treating desires to achieve. Whether it is health, happiness, or abundance, a demonstration is a manifestation. It is a prayer answered. When the word of a practitioner takes form, this is a demonstration. When desire is given a subjective mold and then becomes objectified in the life of the one for whom the practitioner is working, this is a demonstration. The practitioner, of course, gives thanks as they make their demand on the infinite, knowing that supply and demand are one, and that their request is instantly manifest on the invisible plane. Before they call, I will answer is the divine promise. We cannot demonstrate beyond our ability to mentally embody an idea. The argument is between our experience, what the world believes, and what we are convinced is the truth. Yeah, let me read that again because it's kind of important. The argument is between our experience, what the world believes, and what we are convinced is the truth. It should be understood that we can demonstrate in spite of ourselves, in spite of all weaknesses, in spite of all fear, in spite of all that is in us, because Such is the power of truth. We wait only for our own awakened thought. The law is neither good nor bad. The law is and responds. The possibility of demonstrating does not depend upon environment, condition, location, personality, or opportunity. It depends solely upon our belief and our acceptance and our willingness to comply with the law through which all good comes. The universe will never deny us anything unless we conceive that it is possible for us to think of something that is impossible for the universe to produce. What? Everyone who asks receives according to their belief. Every now and again, Ernest will throw a sentence in and you're like, wait, what? Oh my goodness. Okay. Last section. Let us not fool ourselves. Oh, I love that. But we should not fool ourselves about any demonstration. We know there is a state of consciousness which can heal instantly. But if we do not arrive at this in a moment, we should never admit defeat. Let us not despise our sums in addition, because we cannot at the outset extract the cube root. What? Ernest, math. Basically, I think what he's trying to say is, look, if it doesn't work the first time, it's okay to treat again. And if you are treating for somebody else, remember, there's a relationship there. They have to accept the treatment. Okay? All right, let's get back to what he's saying. The kind of demonstration we believe in is the kind that can be checked by a physician, if one so desires. If we are treating for the removal of a cancer, we would not have made a demonstration until the cancer is gone, and the wholeness of the body is evident to everyone. This is not a process of saying peace when there is no peace. A practitioner working for the one whose blood pressure is high might say, go every week or so and have your blood pressure tested. If one's blood pressure is high, a demonstration will not have been made until it is reduced to normal. To claim that they are perfectly normal while the blood pressure remains high would be an affront to the intelligence of any sane individual. While it is possible that we might have to work on a case for some time, there should be some sign of improvement from the first treatment. If the practitioner admits to themselves that it is going to take a long time, they are losing sight of the fact that they are dealing with an instantaneous now and an ever-present here. Our theory rests entirely upon the supposition that it is impossible to have a true subjective concept without there being a positive, absolute, and equal objective fact. The two will exactly balance. For every action, there is always an opposite and equal reaction. If this is true, and the equal and opposite reaction is automatic, like a reflection, which nothing can stop, then the practitioner does not try to create the reflection. They try to embody the image. There cannot be an embodiment of the image without the appreciation of what the image means. A person who is always distraught cannot give a good treatment for peace. So, there must not only be the image in the person's mind who is giving the treatment, but there must be an appreciation of what that image means before the image can reflect itself. Otherwise, it is a word and not an embodiment. There is a great difference between the two. A word which carries power is the one which has conviction back of it. Let us not blithely repeat words and say the treatment has gone forth and the healing work accomplished unless we have the evidence that our word has accomplished that whereunto it was sent. Let us not deceive ourselves about our treatments. This matter of self-deception about the truth of a demonstration is the most prolific field for delusion in our system of thought. There is nothing in all our teaching which calls for lying to ourselves or others. The more natural we can be, the more spontaneous we can be, and the more we can discharge the obligation of giving the treatment without taking on the responsibility of healing the condition, of putting the power into the treatment, the more power we shall have. That's super important, people. Okay? The more natural we can be, the more spontaneous we can be, and the more we can discharge the obligation of giving the treatment without taking on the responsibility of the healing, of healing the condition, of putting the power into the treatment, the more power we shall have. Okay? We do the treatment, but the healing is not our responsibility. That's on spirit. There is nothing in the world more specific than a scientific treatment, but there is nothing that should be so released from outline as a scientific treatment. However, there is no secret in this business of demonstrating. The only secret is the persistent ability to use the law and the determination to continue to use it until we prove it. Ooh, let's not fool ourselves, right? Oh my goodness. What? Oh, Ernest. Okay. So, that is chapter 11. Chapter 12 is the summary of part 2, spiritual mind healing. So we may be moving on to, we'll be moving on to part 3. All right. That's a lot, right? Okay. Okay. I don't even know what to say now. But without taking on the responsibility, that's super important. It's like we are not the one doing the healing. We are simply speaking the truth into law. Spirit does the healing. Always, always, always remember that. Okay. Basic housekeeping. Here's what I'm going to remind you. We are Creative Life Spiritual Center, Creative Life Spark. I'm the running Rev Ryan on the social medias that I am on. I encourage you to go and like and subscribe and share and follow and comment. It is an easy way to support the center. I'm also going to remind you to, if you want to get in touch with the center and know what the center's up to, you can go to creativelife.org. That is the website, or email info@creativelife.org. That's the constant contact. So, that will help you to, the hot links are hot in the email. You get one a week and the hot links are hot. So, yeah. That was a lot. And I can feel the smoke that I got into when I went for that bike ride. So I need to stop talking now. I need my voice to last through work today. All right. So I'm going to encourage you to have a great day, wondrous day, fantastic day, magical day, an enchanted day, wonderful day, an awesome day, an amazing day. A get this week started day. Hey, it's a shorter week day. It's, I have no idea day, but it'll be okay a day, a let's demonstrate day, a remember the two kinds of treatment day, argumentative and realization day, practice day, a good day, and if that is too much pressure, simply have a day. You are enough just as you are. You are a beloved expression of the divine. You are a brilliant light, a divine spark. You are spirit in motion. You are God in action. Or, as Reverend Gussie likes to say, you are a godling. All right? Explore the truth of your being, which is what we're doing. Right? But going through the Signs of Mind text, we are exploring the truth of our being. All right, beloveds, I am going to move on into the process of my day. So I'm going to remind you, Reverend David should be on around 5 p.m. with you. I'll be back with you around 9 a.m. tomorrow. Take care of yourself. Know that you are loved, and I will see you next time.